Everybody, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. My name is Dave. I want to talk to you a little bit about having interview-style podcast, the benefits, some of the drawbacks, and share a few tips and tricks and some of the things that I use for our 5 other podcasts, in addition to this one, how we schedule, how we deal with guests, how we, our whole process. I'm going to unfold it for you. It's all free. And I'd love to be able to help you with this, to share some great ideas and suggestions that I have picked up from other great podcasters. I'm going to blend them all together and mix them up, and here it is, on How to Podcast series. So you want to do a podcast, interview-style podcast. Okay, so that means you need guests. How do I find a guest? So there are many paid options that you can do. In a quick Google search, you can find some paid ways to find guests. There are there's some apps in the process, or some groups in the process of paying you as a host to have guests. So just keep in mind, if you go down that route, it would be the same as having to tell people up front that you are being paid to have this guest on. You'll see it on television. This person is a paid spokesperson, blah, blah, blah. You'd have to do like a disclaimer, I believe. So just a caution on that. But if you're looking at getting free guests on your podcast, just a couple tips and tricks I'm going to share with you here, as well as my scheduling app, how I actually book people in. So first of all, Facebook groups are always good. There's some few that I would recommend to you. Reach out to me. I can give you links and send you in the right direction. For the groups that have worked for me, some of them have been terrible. Some of them are amazing. So I'd rather focus on the amazing and point you in that direction. The other thing you can do is, anytime you do have a guest on, always ask them for a warm interview or a warm introduction to other people that might be a good guest on the podcast. Usually, if you've had a great experience with a guest, they're more than willing to suggest you or suggest others to come and see you. That's great as a ongoing way of reaching people. If you're brand new to being an interview-only podcast and you're looking for an interview guest, reach out to me. I'm willing to do interviews for free, even if you don't even use the interview. You never publish it, but you just want to practice. You want to try mixing it with the software that you use. You want to try your on-camera skills. And at the end of the interview, mock interview or real interview, if you plan on using it, we can actually go through some of the details and give some suggestions. So, for example, last week I had 22 interviews in 2 days. And it was intense, jumping around the world, talking to great people. So I've got some tips just from doing this on a regular basis in really condensed time frames, talking to great people. So I can definitely help you with that. So again, use warm leads. That's wonderful. Check out Facebook. There's always things like that you can always look into. I would also look at podcasts that have guests. So if you do listen to something, I would always suggest that if you have a podcast, that you listen to other podcasts in the same genre or same topic that you're doing. That's always great. But listen to their podcast, and if you hear a really good interview, the contact information are usually included in every podcast show notes. So as a podcaster looking for guests, jump into those show notes, click on the links and say, hey, I love the podcast you were on with so-and-so. I would love to have you on my podcast. How can we make this work? And that's a great way to do that. So by getting guests on your podcast, that's a great way to increase your audience, increase your knowledge, and learn. And then if you do a really good job, there's a good chance you will be invited onto podcasts as a guest yourself. Again, to promote your podcast, to work together with others. It's really helpful. So try the free tools before you go spending a lot of money, especially as a new podcaster. Leverage all the free tools that are out there. Get your feet wet, get your foundation built. And then as things become more and more successful, if you want to level up into a paid services, go for it. That's great. I would love it. But don't put the financial pressure on yourself at the beginning to create a podcast, run it with your own money, pay for services that you don't really need at the beginning, and all of these extras. You don't need it. You can do this on your own with a cell phone. You can do this on your own with a free hosting app like Anchor, for example. It is possible for you to have a wonderful podcast with zero money. That's it. It is possible. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. Usually they're audio snobs and they want to sell you something. I am not that person. And I would encourage you, if you have a message, don't let anything get in the way of you sharing your message, because you and your message needs to be heard in the world. So lastly, what I would suggest when you're setting up interviews is to always have a pre-interview. Why is this important? A pre-interview will help you to see and hear your guest before you hit record. So many times, podcasters will just have somebody come on, they talk for a minute or two, and they hit record. And you can have all kinds of trouble with this. By having a pre-interview on a different date before you hit record, you can actually see and hear your guest. You can see if there's a good flow in your conversation. You can see their tech. Are they talking to you on a cell phone? Are they in a noisy place? You can hear all that stuff and address it in a pre-interview before you even get to the interview. It's super. Take notes, write everything down, because it might be a period of weeks before you hit record, but go through a pre-interview and then have a separate interview day on your recording so that you can have those two separate events. I use Calendly to book all of my guests. I have no sponsorship with Calendly. I get nothing from them. But Calendly is a great way to set up a calendar. You can create windows of time in your week when you are available. People can go to your calendar. You can send them one link. They can go in. They can book time with you. You can create space between meetings. So if you don't want to go back to back, you want a gap in between, you can create gaps. You can override your availability. If something comes up, you can open your calendar up more. There's so many great functionalities with Calendly, and they also link directly to Zoom. So you can have your Zoom meeting set up with your calendar invite. Super easy, wonderful program, all web-based. Nothing really that people have to download to use it. It's also really good on your website. So people want to contact you and get in touch with you. You can create different linkable Calendly links. So if you just want to have a 15-minute one-on-one that you want to post on your website, great. You can add that to your website. People can click and go right into your calendar from your website. You can have like a 30-minute pre-interview one. This is what I have. That's a different calendar invite. I have a 60-minute. It's my dog barking. I have a 60-minute recording invite. Again, all different ways to get in touch with me. And if you want to try it, I'll put a link in my show notes today, and you can try the 15-minute and just drop in and say hi. This is the How to Podcast series. We're trying to make things easy for you guys. Create the interviews. If you need an interview guest, I am willing. I want to come and help you. I love helping new podcasters. Reach out and let's do that. Let's just have a pretend mock interview. Let's get you some skills, some confidence, and get you going. Let's not wait. You have a message, you have a story, you have a podcast idea. Let's get going. The How to Podcast series is here for you. More episodes coming soon, guys. Thank you for listening. And make sure you check out the show notes and check us out on all our socials as well. Thanks so much. Cheers. Good luck with your podcast. I'm here for you guys. Thanks.